That Tuesday was the day the invitations went out. All up and down our street I saw them. Thick, cream-colored envelopes with gold ribbons, pulled from mailboxes and held up like trophies. My brother Ryan's wedding was the biggest event our family had ever planned. Mrs. Gable from across the street waved hers at me. "It's beautiful, Maddie. Your mother has wonderful taste." I forced a smile, my stomach twisting. My own mailbox was at the end of our long driveway. I walked toward it, a stupid, hopeful drumbeat in my chest. I pulled open the small metal door. Inside, there was only an electricity bill and a coupon booklet. The box felt cold and hollow, an echo of how I felt inside. I waited 2 days, telling myself it was lost in the mail. On Thursday, I found my mother in the kitchen, humming as she polished silver. "Hey, Mom," I started, keeping my voice light. "I haven't seen my invitation yet. Just wondering if it got sent out." She didn't look up. Her voice was smooth, like poison poured over ice. "Oh, that? There wasn't a mistake." She set a fork down with a delicate clink and finally met my eyes. "Sorry, dear. This wedding is only for the people we actually love." The words hit me harder than a slap. I couldn't breathe. My father walked in, a newspaper tucked under his arm. He chuckled, a dry, scratchy sound. "Finally, a celebration without the family embarrassment," he said, not even looking at me. As if on cue, my Aunt Lydia, my mother's sister, breezed in. She saw the look on my face and a smug smirk spread across her lips. "What's the matter, Madison? Real family only means real family." That was the moment. It wasn't an oversight. It wasn't a mistake. I wasn't forgotten. I was deliberately, precisely excluded. A cold clarity washed over me, extinguishing the hurt and leaving something harder in its place. They looked at me and saw a disappointment, but they didn't know that the disappointment they had just thrown away was about to become the storm that would undo them all. My name is Madison Cole, and for 28 years, I've been the shadow in my family's portrait. Growing up in this house was like living under a set of invisible rules written just for me. My achievements were ignored. When I graduated from college with honors, my parents showed up late and left early, talking about Ryan's upcoming promotion on the car ride home. My mistakes, however, were unforgivable scandals. When I dented the family car at 16, I was grounded for months and lectured about irresponsibility for years. 6 months later, Ryan crashed the same car after a party, and my father paid for the damages without a word, patting him on the back and saying, "That's what insurance is for, son." And then there was Ryan, the golden child. He was praised, protected, and excused from everything. His trophies lined the mantelpiece. When he got into trouble, it was a learning experience. He was their son, and I was just a stray planet in his orbit, cold and dark. I spent my life trying to earn a fraction of the love they gave him so freely. I was the responsible one. When their plumbing failed, I used my savings to fix it. When Ryan maxed out his credit cards, I quietly paid the debt. I did it all with the foolish hope that one day they would finally see me. Some naive part of me thought Ryan's wedding might be that day. I thought a huge life event would be enough to finally bridge the divide. I was wrong. My mother's words, "the people we actually love," were the mission statement of the Cole family. For years, their silence had whispered that I didn't belong. Now their words screamed it. They didn't just forget me. They didn't want me. I spent the rest of the day in my room, letting the hurt wash over me. It was a heavy blanket of pain that pressed down on my chest. They didn't want me. The 4 most important people in my world had consciously left my name off the guest list. As the hours passed, the sadness began to curdle into a cold, hard anger. Why was I letting their cruelty destroy me? Why was I still begging for scraps of affection? I had spent 28 years trying to be good enough for them. I refused to do it anymore. I refused to sit at home on the day of the wedding, imagining them toasting to a future I wasn't a part of. With a jolt of energy, I sat up, wiped my face, and grabbed my laptop. If they were having a celebration without me, then I would create my own. My fingers flew across the keyboard. Flights to New Orleans, a city of music, food, and resilience. Without a second thought, I clicked on the first flight I saw. I entered my credit card information, the numbers I had used so many times to bail them out, and this time I used it for myself. The confirmation email popped up. Madison Cole. Confirmed. A strange calm settled over me. I pulled my suitcase from the closet and began to pack. A few dresses, comfortable shoes, a good book. With each item, I felt lighter, leaving behind the weight of their expectations. Finally, I picked up my phone. A text from my mother. "Don't forget to take out the trash tomorrow morning." I wasn't real family, but I was still the help. I held my finger over the power button and watched the screen go black. As I zipped my suitcase shut, I made myself a promise. I would never again beg for a seat at a table where I wasn't welcome. The moment I stepped off the plane in New Orleans, the air felt different, thick with humidity, alive with the smell of magnolias and the sound of distant music. It was everything my sterile, quiet home wasn't. I checked into a small hotel in the French Quarter and walked out into the night with no plan. For years, my life had been structured around my family's needs. Here, there was only me. I wandered through jazz bars on Frenchman Street, letting the sound of a saxophone wash over me. No one knew me. I wasn't the scapegoat daughter or the invisible sister. I was just a woman in a bar. The next day, I explored. I ate beignets covered in powdered sugar and tasted gumbo from a street vendor. I joined a Zydeco band playing in a public square, pulled into the crowd by a kind old man. I was clumsy at first, but soon I was laughing, spinning with strangers who saw me, not a label. Each step I took was peeling away a layer of pain. While I imagined them posing for photos under crystal chandeliers, I was standing under flickering gas lamps on a cobblestone street. Their light was expensive and cold. My light was warm and real. One afternoon, sitting by the Mississippi River, I thought about their perfect, loveless world. A week ago, the thought would have broken me. But now, I just felt a strange sense of pity for them. They were trapped while I was here breathing free air. For the first time in years, I felt completely free. On my third night, I was sitting at a quiet outdoor cafe when my phone buzzed. I'd turned it off airplane mode to check the weather and forgotten to switch it back. I saw Ryan's name and ignored it, but then it buzzed again and again. My screen lit up with a flood of notifications. First, a text from Ryan. "Wedding canceled. We need you. Please help." Then from Mom. "Maddie, we were just joking. You know how our sense of humor is. You belong with us. Please help fix this." From Dad. "It's just money. Family helps each other. Don't be dramatic." And finally, from Aunt Lydia. "If you cared about your brother at all, you wouldn't let his big day fall apart over a little misunderstanding." I stared at the screen, the wine turning sour in my mouth. The whiplash was staggering. A few days ago, I was the family embarrassment. Now I was the one they needed. Now I was family again. The family they only claimed when they wanted something. I leaned back in my chair and laughed. It was a sharp, incredulous sound. They had assumed that even after being shunned, I would still be their safety net, so desperate for their approval that I would come crawling back to solve their problems. A week ago, I wasn't family. Now I was their lifeline. And for the first time in my life, I was going to let them drown. I let their calls go to voicemail for an hour before walking back to my hotel. Standing on my balcony, I finally decided to answer Ryan's 10th call. "Hello?" I said, my voice steady. "Maddie? Oh, thank God!" His voice was a frantic, cracking mess. "Maddie, you have to help us. Everything is falling apart." He explained that there was a mix-up with the final payment to the venue. They had to pay by the next morning, or the wedding was off. "Maddie, please," he begged. "We need $20,000 to clear the venue debt. If we don't pay it, everything's ruined. Please, you can help us." There it was. For years, I had been their emergency fund, the family bank they turned to when their lifestyle outpaced their income. I laughed, a low, cold sound. "Funny," I said. "I thought I wasn't real family." A heavy, damning silence stretched between us. I didn't mean it like that," he finally whispered. "Yes, you did," I replied, my voice flat and final. "You all did. You made it perfectly clear where I stand. I'm not family enough for a seat at your wedding, but I'm family enough to pay for it? Is that how it works?" "Maddie, it's not like that." He started, but I cut him off. "It's exactly like that, Ryan. I am your solution, not your sister. When was the last time any of you called just to ask how I was?" More silence. He had no answer. "You don't need my help," I said calmly. "You have your real family. I'm sure you can figure it out." He started to plead again, but I was done. This time they would get nothing. "I have to go," I said. "Enjoy the wedding if it happens." And I hung up. After the call, I let go. I didn't worry or feel a shred of guilt. I turned my phone off again, went out, and lived my life. The next day, what would have been Ryan's wedding day, I woke up late and ordered room service. As I sat on my balcony sipping coffee, a friend from my hometown sent me a screenshot from the wedding venue's Facebook page. The post was polite, professional, and devastating. Due to a failure to meet financial obligations, the Cole-Thompson wedding scheduled for today has been canceled. We wish both families the best in resolving their internal matters. It spread like wildfire. Our town wasn't huge. Gossip traveled fast. The illusion my parents had spent a lifetime crafting, the image of the successful, prominent Cole family, crumbled in hours. They weren't pillars of the community. They were people who wrote bad checks. I didn't have to lift a finger. Their own arrogance and irresponsibility had done it for me. They had built a house of cards and expected me to hold it up forever. The moment I walked away, it all came crashing down. I took another sip of my coffee, feeling a profound, quiet peace. Their downfall wasn't my victory. It was simply a consequence. I flew home a few days later to my own apartment. I wasn't surprised when 2 days after my return, there was a sharp knock on my door. It was Aunt Lydia, looking frazzled and defeated. I opened the door but blocked her from entering. Her expression shifted to a fake sweetness. "Madison, sweetheart," she began. "We were so worried. I was on vacation," I said flatly. "Well, your timing was terrible. Your brother is heartbroken. Imagine the shame of this." She looked at me, her eyes pleading. "Imagine the shame if the wedding doesn't happen." I tilted my head, my expression calm. "Imagine the shame," I said softly, "when you realize your words about real family were the reason I wasn't interested in fixing your mess." She blinked, speechless. For the first time, Aunt Lydia had no comeback. She stared at me, then turned and walked away. That night, Ryan called, his pride stripped bare. "Maddie," he said, his voice hollow, "I know we hurt you, but you don't understand. Dad took out a loan against the house to cover some of the deposits. Without your help, we lose everything, so there it was. It was never just about a wedding. It was about their entire life of debt and denial." I listened, and I felt nothing but a vast, empty distance. "Then you'll finally understand how I felt for my entire life," I replied, my voice calm and final. "Invisible." I hung up the phone. In the days that followed, their desperation curdled into rage. The begging stopped, and the blaming began. A text from my mother. "You've embarrassed us enough. I hope you're happy now that you've ruined your brother's life." I read it and deleted it. I hadn't ruined his life. Their choices had. The next day, a message from my father. "Don't bother coming back to the house. You made your choice, he was right." I chose myself. For once, their disapproval didn't sting. It felt like a key turning in a lock, setting me free. They were disowning me not for being cruel, but for being done. I didn't reply to either of them. My silence wasn't revenge. It was self-preservation. Their silence in return was my victory. The absence of their presence in my life was not a void. It was an open space. It was peace. Weeks turned into months. I heard they had to sell the house. Ryan and Sarah had broken up. My family, as I had known it, had ceased to exist. And my life had just begun. One evening, I had a small group of friends over for dinner. These were the people who had checked on me, who celebrated my small victories, who loved me without condition. We sat around my small dining table, sharing stories and food in a room filled with warmth and genuine laughter. My friend Clara raised her wine glass. "A toast," she said, her eyes finding mine. "To chosen family. The ones who show up no matter what." "To chosen family," they echoed. I smiled, a real unburdened smile. In that moment, surrounded by simple, profound love, I felt richer than my parents had ever pretended to be. Later that night, I posted a photo from the dinner. A glowing table, genuine smiles, no masks. I wrote a simple caption. "Real family isn't defined by invitations. It's defined by love." I knew, somewhere in their quiet house filled with regret, they would see it. They would see me happy and thriving. And for the first time in my life, I knew their silence wouldn't hurt me. It freed me. If you've ever been excluded by the people who should have loved you most, share your story below. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's peace.